All right, so here is our session. So before I bring up the app, so I'll play back a little bit of this. So this is not a mix done. This is just faders up. The only thing that's mixed, if you want to call it mixed, is there's a little bit of EQ on the drums. Everything else is completely unmixed, just some panning. It's not even balanced. This song is a song by the artist James D. Cooler, who has been on this live stream many times. And the name of the song is ATM. So I'll give you a little sample of it, and then we'll solo up the drums, and I'll show you the app and just show you how it kind of works. And if you guys want to, listen to a piece of gear, you just tell me what you want to listen to, and we'll try to make that happen and see if this all works over a live stream and doesn't crash. So, and then you'll let me know if the DAW audio is okay. Okay, here's a little bit of ATM by James D. Cooler.
Say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my car. I need some clothes, a better car, a new nose, a diamond star, the biggest house in Beverly Hills. And you love me if you never have to dream of the bill.
Okay, here's a little James E. Cooler. It's kind of a nice little puppety, kind of a bouncy track, which I kind of like. A little different than most of the music that you guys have heard from him on this channel. Normally it's more rock, hard rock. This is a little bit more light, a little bit more fun, but it's got a cool groove to it. I kind of dig it. Hopefully the sound is okay. Let us know in the chat if the sound is acceptable enough. Okay, so let me just show you, for folks that have not seen all the videos, and how dare you have not seen all the videos on the channel as it relates to the Flock XT. As a matter of fact, right now I'm going to move the chat. Can I move it here? I'm going to try that for now. Hopefully this all works. Get all these screens and all these things all over the place. Okay, so here is the Patch DX app. So for folks that don't know, there are two versions of this app, the Patch app and the Patch DX, which is signified here at the top right-hand corner. And the difference between the two apps is the Patch DX has a little bit, few more additional features, color coding, organizational, things that you can do that you can't do in the regular app. As it sits right now, when you buy any Flock system, the way I understand it is you get an app, and I think the DX is an upgrade, but check their website to, depending on the size of the unit that you buy, the DX may be included. So for example, the XT is the largest unit that they have and is the most expensive. That might come with the DX version of this. I'm not sure if it does or if it doesn't, but just so you realize that. But they look the same, they just functionality, there's some more functionality in the DX. So basically what you have here, and this is already, let me just close this here. Okay. So the way this works is the main part of this app is the grid here in the center that you see me scrolling through. Every one of these paths, they call it a path. Path 1, Path 2, Path 3, Path 4 is a different insert point. The way I have it set up on the console is Path 1 represents channel 1 on the SSL, Path 2, channel 2, so on and so forth, all the way through 32 channels. And if I scroll over, you'll see everything in blue up to Path 32. That's the 32 long faders on the console. After 32, from 33 to 48, you'll see those signified in red. Those are the 8 stereo groups in the center. So in essence, what we have here is we have the ability to insert hardware on any of the 32 faders as well as the 8 groups in the center. Okay? And that takes us up, I think, to Path 48. Path 49 through Path 96 is not being used. This is a 96-point Patchbay. It's 192 total, 96 in, 96 out. That's why you see 96. That's why you see path 96, okay? If you had a smaller system like their 32, it would only go up to 32. But this is the big boy. This is everything. And the way we set this up is, let's just look at path 1, for example, because it's the same on every single channel. Whenever you want to insert a piece of gear into a path or on a channel 1 in this example, you have to have it's the insert point on the console. So you would hit the insert button and you have to have an output and an input to make the loop. So you go out of the console, SSL out, go into a piece of gear that will be loaded somewhere in these 5 slots here where my cursor is, which we haven't done yet. And then it comes back into the console here at the bottom in purple, okay? So that's what creates the loop. If you don't have the output and the input, you won't hear anything if you put a piece of gear in there. Does that make sense? So it's pretty simple. So the way we set this up and the way when we first installed this thing is we made a blank template and we saved this as a template with all of 32 and the 8 groups already set up with ins and outs. Whether I use a piece of gear on a channel or not doesn't matter. It's all ready for me to do that. You could start with an absolute blank canvas and only add the paths or the channels that you want to use for a particular mix. But I just felt like, well, then you have to drag the ins and the outs on every single time you want to instantiate a piece of hardware. This way, it's always set up. It's always there, okay? Along the left-hand side here, you'll see all of we have a folder that's set up for SSL IO. That's what we just talked about, the ins and the outs for all 48 channels. And you'll see them here. And when they're grayed out here, the reason why they're grayed out, and I don't know if it looks gray on the screen, Dave, but in the app over YouTube, I'm not sure. They're like grayed out like they're not available. And the reason why they're grayed out is because I've already added them to the grid. So for example, so that's all our IO in the folder. Then we have a folder of all the EQs in green. This is all the hardware or all the EQs, excuse me, that are in the rack. So we have an EQP1A, the Audioscape. We have an API 5500 EQ, which is stereo left and right because it's stereo. We have a STAM Audio Pultec EQP, left and right. We have a couple of 500 series Cappy EQs, a couple of Neves, and then a mono Pultec. And these are not grayed out, but if you see, if I were to take the first one and left click and drag it on the, say, path number 1, now you'll see it becomes grayed out. So it's not available to you. That means you've already used that piece of equipment somewhere in the grid. Make sense? And then if I want to remove it, I just right click and hit remove and it puts it back in the main list. So the way we have this set up is all our EQs are set up in one folder. All the compressors are in blue. And this is what's nice about the DX app. I don't think in the regular app you can color code things. So this DX app, one of the features I believe is the color coding aspect. So you can organize and see things on the grid very quickly and very easily. And here's of all of our compressors. So I have a lot more hardware compressors than I do EQs. And the only compressor that's being used right now down here, the decomp by Audioscape, that's being used on a parallel drum track, which we could talk about in a minute. It's already used in the grid. If I scroll over, you'll see it's right here on channel 1314, left and right. If I were to remove that, now it goes back to the list, and now it's available. If I left click and bring it in, now it grays itself out again. So it's just like taking plugins from your browser and dragging it onto a track. That's exactly how this concept works. Okay, so that's the basic. Along the bottom here, quickly, we have some buttons here. And again, this is all in the video that I've already published. You guys could go out and check it out. But when you first want to set up all your hardware, if you were to buy this new, you hit this hardware button. This is where you set up all your hardware for the first time. You manually go in, you type it all out. You only have to do that once. And then you save it. So you always have it. You only have to do that the first time. Then we have some buttons here for if you want to clear everything in the grid, if you want to bank over. Here's the 2 buttons I was talking about earlier, Dave, about the inputs. Front inputs and front outputs. That now deactivates channel 1 and 2 and turns on the front inputs. So if you wanted to patch in a piece of gear, and then I can use it anywhere in the grid, which is kind of cool. You don't have to go
Very
back
cool.
to you don't have to go back to and unplug 1 and 2 to plug into the front. It does it all inside the flock, which is really great. Then you just turn them off by just doing that. You click them again, and now we're back on the original. You can mute them all. You can add pictures for analog recalls. I don't have any, but you can take, there's an app that you put in your iPhone or your Google phone, your Android, I mean, and you can take pictures of your gear and it automatically with Bluetooth will put the pictures right inside the app. So all your recall photos are with the session, which are really cool. I don't have any for this because we just started this. And then along the bottom right-hand side, we have these 6 buttons called quick strips. And basically that's just templates. Someone was asking about templates. So you'll see here, I have one called Mix Template 2025. That is basically a blank grid with no hardware, but all the SSL ins and outs already set up, as I just said a few minutes ago. So I don't have to do it on every single session. But if I wanted to have a complete blank session, if I just hit blank grid, you'll see what happens here in a second. It'll switch and it'll zero everything out. Takes a second. I wish see. So now it's completely empty and you can start from absolute scratch. So I have one called blank grid. And then if I want to go back to my mix template, I can hit that. However, what we can also do is up here at the top, we have a list of stored routings. So think of this as every song, every session has its own routing. Right? So for recall purposes, you don't need to go over and write where you, with a manual patch bay, you got to go over and write down where did you patch everything. You don't have to do that here. It just saves it. So here's all the songs I've been working on. Here's James Cooler ATM. If I just hit that, it'll populate this. And here we are again. And if we scroll over to 1314, oh, it's not there. You know why it's not there? Because I took it out and I didn't save it. I didn't save the template.
Correct.
Let me do that again.
Yeah.
So for 1314, if I take the decomp, okay.
Yep.
I want to save it, hit proceed. I wish there was an auto save, but there's not. Maybe in the next version of the app there will be. But anyway, it'll populate here, which is cool. So all you do is go into the song that you're working on. You can click on the name of the song. All your routings will snap back. Instant recall, completely done for you. And then before we hear sounds, the last thing that I'll show you, let me close this quickly. One other really cool thing is on the master, they have a plugin inside of the DAW called the bridge. And what the bridge is, you could put this on any track. It's just a placeholder. I just put it on the master bus because that's just simple for me to remember. And basically what this does is it allows me to choose my store routings from this list. So if I opened up another session with the first song, 3 Shirts, the patch app is automatically going to open to that. So it synchronizes the DAW to this app. Does that make sense? So I don't have to open up the app and switch it from song to song. It'll automatically do it when I open up the session via the bridge. This talks to the app that we were just looking at. So that's kind of a cool little handy feature. So it's always stored. All your routings are always stored. That's about the bulk of what the app is all about. So let's start with, we got drums. So right now, if we listen to the drums, there's nothing on these drums at all. There's not even a bus compressor. There's nothing here. So I took the parallel compression out too, so you're not even listening to it. Okay, Dave, you're up first. What do you want to hear on which one of these drum tracks? You want to hear something? Want to hear a piece of gear? What do you want to hear? There's nothing done to any of these drums. A little bit of light EQ, but that's really about it. There's no compression at all. No bus compression, no nothing. What do you want to hear?
What do you think about doing a Pultec on the kick drum? The 500 series Pultec on the kick drum?
Okay, so this is what we do.
Yep. And then we'll play with a little compression after that.
Okay, so here's our Pultec 500X. Let's put that right up here. Or I'll put it in the second slot so we can put something before it and after it if you'd like. I'll shut the EQ off on the board because I did do a little light EQ on the kick, right?
Okay.
So now we'll go over there and let's solo up the kick. I'll turn it up. Now it's going to be out of balance, but just so people can hear it. And I don't know what the settings are on the Pultec, but I'll go over there and figure it out, and we'll dial it in, then we can bypass it, okay? How about that?
Sure.
I should probably set a loop in the DAW, right? That would make sense.
Yeah, that would help.
I actually set a loop. Yeah. I didn't say I knew what I was doing. I just said we were going to. I just said we were going to do something. I didn't tell you we were going to do something like I knew what I was doing. All right, let's loop this up first. Now let's try it. We'll get the app back up here.
Oh.
Okay, so that's a little bit at 40 and a little bit at 8K. Okay, so now if we bypass it, so you can bypass this several ways, right? You can right click and hit bypass, and then you can right click again and hit unbypass, or you can use the keyboard shortcut, hold the command key and just left click on it and it'll bypass it. So I'll show you. So it's that simple, right? So you can just easily audition stuff. You can tweak the gear, come back over, and easily audition stuff. It's probably a little bit too much low end.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just wanted to exaggerate it so people can actually hear it over the YouTubes. Okay?
Nice.
More like it, right? What do you want? Whoops.
Yeah.
What do you want to hear next?
1176D.
When you're 1176D, do you want to, would you like it, sir, before the EQ or after the EQ?
After the EQ, please.
Okay. So we got the 1176D by Audioscape. We're just going to take that. We're going to drag it up here. Okay. So now it's grayed out. We can't use it, right? So let me just go over there and it's probably smashing the hell out of it. None of the gear's been touched. So let's just play it and I'll adjust it. We'll get a couple of dB of compression, slow attack, fast release kind of a thing. Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
Ooh.
It's about 3 dB of compression. Slow attack, fast release, 4-to-1 ratio. Sorry we don't have a camera on the gear because it just, how much, I can't put any more crap on the screen. But anyway, let's bypass this.
Yeah. Might need a little more output, yeah.
Oh, I removed it by accident. So that's how you remove it. Option click will remove it. Command click will just bypass it. I just learned something new. Look at that. So let's drag it back on. There we go. Here we go. So we'll bypass it.
There you go.
So you can hear in long. right?
If you ever needed a better demonstration of compression as EQ, that was it right there.
Right. So there you go. And now if we wanted to bypass both, we could just do this.
Yep.
But you know, what if you said to yourself, Dave, I want to hear the compressor before the EQ because, you know, I saw my favorite engineer on YouTube and he told me that you need to put the compressor before the EQ, not after the EQ. Because, you know, that's how it works, right? So we can just left click and we can just, oops, sorry. We can just take this and just go. Now the compressor's before the EQ.
Yep.
There you go. So then you can decide whether you like the compressor before the EQ or whether you like the compressor after the EQ. I tend to like it after myself, so we can just drag it right there. It's that simple. Now, the only thing I don't like about this app so far, Darren, when you're watching this, because I know Darren will be watching this sooner or later, is I want this to auto-save. I don't believe it auto-saves. If I were to demonstrate and close out of this for some reason, it loses everything here. You got to save and hit proceed. I'm hoping the next app will have that feature. I don't remember seeing an auto feature in the settings. There's a whole bunch of settings you can do here. I don't remember autosave being one of them. So we're going to work on that. But anyway, so it's that quick. Okay. Who wants to try something different? Who's in the chat there?
Peace Valley wants to hear an API EQ on the snare.
Which API EQ would you like to hear? I have two of them. I have a 550 and a 560. Do you care or you don't care?
Personally, I would go with the Cappy 560 if it was
okay,
B.
well then that was what we'll do. If Mike wants,
I would honestly like to keep the 5500 for something else in the mix if it was me.
So we got two Cappy EQs. Mike, you're in luck. We have a 561 and a 562 because there's two of them in the rack. So let's drag the 561. That's the snare drum. Let me give you I'll solo up the snare. I'll take off the SSL. Well, let's here's the SSL with the EQ. It's a mixture of samples and non-samples, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Don't worry about that. That's a blend coming down to the console. That's with EQ. Take the SSL EQ out. Okay, let's put the Cappy in. Let's go over there and we'll set it up and we'll see what it sounds like. Here we go. Cappy number 1.
Not bad already.
So it's a little 150, little boost of 150, little boost at 6.4K. And that was it on that. So this is with the Cappy. Okay, who wants to hear something else? What do you want to use for a compressor on there, Mike? What's Mike want to do for a compressor on the snare?
If you
Pick
say
your
anything except the warm audio.
anything except. Okay, so here's what.
Yeah.
Well, here's your
Yeah.
menu of compressors. By the way, if I don't know if you how well they can see the print on the screen, Dave, but
It's
here's the left.
readable.
Okay, so we have the NG Bus compressor by West Audio. We got 33. No, we don't have the 33609. We have the L83A. We have a couple of
No.
1176s left. We have a Blue Stripe and the F version F. We have an LA2A, a V Comp. We got the 260 VU. We got the 1178. We got the Governor. We got DBXs. We got Warm Audio.
The
We got
CL1B.
CL1B. We got the SSL E Series Dynamics. We got a pair of those. We have the RSC Verimu, which is the hot box. We have a couple of distressors, and then we have another DBX 160A. We got two of those, right? Yeah, we got two of those.
Yeah.
So what do you want to hear? What do you want to do?
Well, I know you want to use the CL1B.
I don't have to. What do you guys want to use? I don't care. I get to use this shit every day. So I'm like, you guys to tell me what you want to hear.
Mike wants you to use the Bluey, so the Blue Stripe.
The Blue Stripe. Okay, so we got the 76D. That would be right up here somewhere. All right, 76A, excuse me. We'll put that after right there. Let me go set that up and we'll listen. So again, 4-to-1 ratio, slow attack, fast release. It's about 5 dB of compression on that. Well, what if you wanted to compare it to something else? I mean, okay, that's cool. That was quick. See how quick that is now? Just for people playing along at home, if you don't know. If you've never used the manual Patchbay, what I just did with the Cappy and that 1176, the Blue Stripe on that snare drum, going over there, having to patch in and out, 4 cables, and then you got to go back and forth. You can't bypass it, right? You have to bypass it over there at the gear. It's much faster. But let's say you didn't want the 1176. Let's say if you wanted to hear, let's say one of
the SSL E-Dynes.
E-Dynes. Okay, so let's take this one. Let's throw this after it. Let's bypass the 76A. Let me go set up the, what's that, number one? Number one. Let me set that up.
Nice.
So it's got a little bit more body. That's again, now on that one, 4-to-1 ratio, slow attack, fast release, 3, almost 6 dB of compression on that. Now you can, if you wanted to just switch back and forth and you just wanted to audition, right? So it's just as simple as holding the command and clicking. So the one thing you may notice or not notice, you don't hear any click, any hiccup in the audio when I switch and turn those on and off, right? It's just about as seamless of a change as you can get, which is one of the things that I was kind of surprised in a pleasant way, that I thought, oh, every time you click, like, you know, sometimes you click on plugins, universal audio plugins in particular, and you get like a crackle when you turn them on and off or when you bypass them. You don't get that here at all. At least I don't hear it on my end. I don't know if you hear it over YouTube. But
No, it's perfectly seamless. There's no artifact at all.
so now you can audition and choose the tone of these two compressors. They sound completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You can use both. So you wanted to go one into the other.
Actually, that actually sounds pretty good.
So the only difference there is that, okay, now the 1176 is driving a different level of signal level into that E series. So maybe you would adjust it on the E series. Or you could, again, you can drag this down as far as you want to give you as many slots. You can even rearrange the order and say, okay, that's the 76A into the SSL. What if I wanted to go the SSL into the 76A? Well, you just do this. So again, you could just rearrange them just like that.
Question from the chat, Dave. George
Yes?
Conti wants to know, can you bypass all inserts on a channel with one click?
Yes. I think just by hitting the mute. I don't know. Let's see. Hold on.
Let's see it. Play it.
Let's try it. Now
No,
what that does is it mutes the input and the output. So no, not yet. Hold on. I'll bet you there's a way to do it, and I just don't know what it is.
No.
I don't know a way to do that. That I haven't figured out yet. There must be a way. What does the C mean? I forget. I don't want to screw. Let me put in this one. Oh, clear. Oh, that just clears everything.
Clear. Yeah. Do you have an undo button? Oh, you do have an undo.
Command Z.
Yeah.
There we go. So that'll clear everything.
Is there any way to drag the mouse to highlight all three of the hardware pieces and group them?
No, doesn't appear to be.
Nope, doesn't work. Now the green dots in between each one, what do? If you hit the green dots, does that do anything? No, that doesn't do anything. Okay.
That's a good question. We're going to ask that question.
Yeah.
I'll find that out for the next time that we demonstrate this stuff. Can you bypass all hardware at one time? At least right now you can't. But we'll figure that out. So that's pretty cool, right? So
this thing's amazing, dude.
Kick it in there. What else you want to hear? Let's keep moving. So we don't have anything on the drum bus. Nothing. If you want to try something.
We really need to put the NG bus on the drum bus, because that's where it belongs.
Okay, so let's do that. So this is we'll leave the kick snare alone, right? So here's our drum set without a bus compressor. Okay, so now if I come down to our grid here and I come down to the first set of red pats or tracks, and the only reason why they're red versus blue and purple is just so I color-coded them that way so I know which ones are the groups and which ones are the channels. That's the only reason.
That makes sense.
So
no, that makes a lot of sense.
33 and 34, that's bus number 1. These are stereo groups. We have 8 stereo groups in the center of this console. So what do you want to put on our drum bus? Anyone in the chat or Dave? NG bus.
NG bus for sure, yeah.
Now
Either the NG bus or the LA3A. Let's try the LA3A.
Sure, okay, because the NG bus is controlled with a plug-in, which, I mean, I could lay on the floor, but why would I do that? All right, so let's take the NG bus. No, excuse me, the LA3.
Yeah, let's try the LA3A, because that always blows my mind how well that works as a drum bus compressor.
Okay, I don't know what it's going to sound like when I first hit play, but I will dial it in to drum bus standard operating procedure compression, and let's see what it sounds like. Well, right now, I can tell you it's a lot louder, so let's check it out. I don't want to blow the sound out. Let me know if the sound gets a little too crunchy. I'll dial it down. That's about 3 dB, give or take, of compression. So here's with it. There's an LA3A. It extends the snare, gives you a little bit more sustain. That's about 3 dB, give or take. On the tom fill, it's a little bit more. That's an LA3. Yeah. What else you want to try?
Oh, I don't know.
So let's compare that to
AS78.
Okay, so this is the 1178. Okay, so let's drag this on here. I'll mute the LA3. Let's go set up the 1178 and see what that sounds like.
No, you need level. Yeah.
So it's about the same amount of compression as on the LA3. 3 dB-ish, tom fill, little heavier, 4:1 ratio. Can't set the ratio on the LA3, it's all internal. Slow attack, fast release, okay? So here's the AA78, and then we can go back and forth between that and the LA3. So it's that simple. What else you want to try? What else you want to try? What if we were to try something completely different? What if we were to try something like,
the Dione?
Try the Dione? Where is that? That's up here somewhere. I just saw it. Where the hell is it? There it is, Dione. So this is what by Wes Audio. So we can bypass that. I guess I can also control it right from the unit, so I don't have to break out the plugin. Let's see what this one does. And that's with no total harmonic distortion circuit in that unit. You could put some saturation in it, which we could try if you want to hear it.
For sure.
But that's the Dione, that's a VCA, that's an SSL compressor, basically. That's basically what that is. That's an SSL compressor. Let's try it with the distortion circuit. I'll cycle through the low, medium, high so you could hear it. Sounds a little bit more thicker on the bottom ends. Hopefully that's sounding okay over YouTube, everybody. I hope so. Sounds really good in this room. So now you got 3 compressors you can choose from.
Yeah.
Right, so they can be level matched a little bit better, but I'm trying to do it quick just in the spirit of, but like if you were doing this in a mix, like I'd make sure they're perfectly level matched and go back and forth, but they're close. So I don't know which ones you guys like in the chat. Of those 3 compressors, what do you like on this drum bus?
Honestly, I like the Dione, you know. I like the Dione the best. I mean, that's pretty standard, you know, drum bus compressor, but yeah, I like the Dione.
Right, so the Dione...
The AS78 does sound good too, though, so...
It does. It just sounds different, right? So the Dione's VCA, the AS78's a FET. In the same thing with the LA3, but just a different type of way the compression works.
Yeah,
but yeah,
but
just
it's really a nice way for you to be able to demonstrate the different types of compression on the same source, so you can hear what the different types of compression do. You know, makes really good video demos.
It does. So one of the things that not only so much for video demos, but we're talking about, okay, yeah, you got to patch. It takes a long time to patch, so on and so forth. Yes, but what makes, forget that for a second. That's okay. That's true. But what we're doing right here, right now, switching between these 3 units in real time, A, B, A, B, A, B, you can't do that with a manual patch bay. You can't. No. If you're listening to the LA3 and you go, okay, sounds good, let me go try something else. By the time you go over there, unpatch the LA3, patch in the AS78, and then come back over and listen, you've already forgotten what the LA3 sounded like, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to go listen to the Dione, you got to go unpatch and repatch. And by the time you come back and listen to the Dione, you forgot what the other one sounded like. And then once you have, there's no way to have them all lined up in succession like this and just turn them on and off like a plugin. Right from the mixing position, right? Because as soon as you come all the way over here, as soon as I come over here, I'm not hearing it right, right? So the fact that you don't ever have to, once you got it set up, that you never have to leave this position to audition those 3 units, to me, that's the killer thing, way beyond the time it takes to physically put the cables in and out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference. So we say, okay, we like the Dione. Great. Let's just remove we can remove it by right clicking, or I think we can hit our option key, hold down option, click, click. Now those are back in the list, and I can use those for anything that I would like to use it on. I can take this and just drag this to the top or wherever I want to put it. And there you go. So what else you want to try? Would you like to hear a drum bus EQ? We have some EQs we can put on the drum bus. What does anybody else in the chat want to hear? Here's our EQ list. We don't have as many.
I know what I would go for.
What is someone in the chat, pick an EQ. We have a few there. We got an API. We have a Pultec, a stereo Pultec, and we got a pair of Neve 551s that we can use because it's stereo.
Come on, somebody.
Come on. Here's your chance to pick the piece of gear you want to hear.
Yeah. Higher Grounds just picked my choice.
What did he pick?
5500.
Okay, so we'll take the 5500. Would you like to hear it before the compressor or after the compressor?
Oh, before.
Before the compressor, we'll start, and then we can always move it. So there we go, API 5500. Let me go dial it in, and then I'll dial it in while you guys listen. Let me just, and again, if it starts to blow up the audio here, let me know. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So that's 2 dB at 50, 4 dB at 5K, 2 dB cut at 500.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, if you want to hear it after, again, we can just do this. And now it's compression, then EQ. Right?
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Extremely cool.
So now on channel 1314, we have a parallel drum. Parallel, kick and snare going to a parallel track. So the way that's set up in the DAW is I just took the kick sample, the snare sample, duplicated it, routed it out to track 1314, and on 1314 right now, but we can always change it, is the decomp by Audioscape. So if I just solo up just that, just so you can hear just that. Yeah. So here's just, well, I'll start with it off. No decomp. Here's just kick snare. Okay, so there's a little bit of EQ, parallel EQ, but I'm just using the console for this. A little bit at 50 and a little bit at 5K on the kick and snare. This is just the parallel track. So now what I'll do is I'll bring in the decomp. It's set up to be hitting about 12 dB of compression right now. So here we go. Okay, now if we just blend those into the drums, we'll just blend them in. We'll start with them off and bring them up. And I'll bring the bass in too, why not? Here we go. That's when that decomp is awesome for parallel drums, by the way. I think it's hitting pretty hard. We're smashing them pretty good, about 12 dB of compression on those.
Nothing wrong with that.
Which is pretty cool, right? Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the demonstration. Anything else anybody want to see? Anything you want to hear? What would you like? Tell me what you want. We'll be happy to demonstrate it for you. This is the power of this system. Sweetwater carries these units, all different sizes if you want them. I should probably put my affiliate link in the in the description. Yeah. Go back and watch one of my patch videos. If you're going to buy one, use the affiliate link, please. But this thing is killer. So if you have more than just maybe one or two pieces of hardware, like if you have hardware, if you're in the box, you're not using a console, right? And you're just using hardware maybe on your master bus, a couple of pieces, you don't even need a patch bay, let alone need something like this. Yeah. But if you have several pieces of gear, that you either record with and or mix with that you use in different, different configurations. Something like this makes things so much more convenient. And you could get a smaller system. You don't have to get the big system with all these ins and outs. It all depends on how much IO you need. But hopefully people can see how easy it is to use and how seamless it is. Anything else anybody want to hear or want to see or have any questions about this product or the use of it? Now's the time to ask. If you want to ask. I haven't been watching. So I haven't been watching the chat.
No, I have. It's okay. Nobody's asking anything at the point, so.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. Well, you guys have any questions about anything else, let me know.
Yep.
If you guys have any questions at all about any of this stuff. But it's just a cool system. And like I said, it doesn't hiccup. I mean, it just works. It just does not hiccup at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually funny because like what I was noticing is when you were bypassing certain pieces of hardware and stuff, the only like artifact you're getting when you switch back and forth is waiting for the hardware to catch up to the signal you're giving it.
Right. You know and I mean? That's just a matter of the cable runs and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's so short. It seems like you can notice it a little bit on a stereo unit, or on the mono unit it's like instant.
Yeah.
But I mean it's it's so quick anyway. It seems like that's not even a problem, or it's insignificant, you know?
Yeah, for sure. You know?
So
yeah, no, the chat is absolutely not asking any questions at this point about it. So
okay, that's okay. No, that's all right. We wanted to demonstrate it anyhow. Good, we wanted to show people how to use it. We wanted to try to broadcast audio off the console live in a live stream to make sure that that's working. Again, everyone in the chat is telling me how the audio quality is off the console. Does it sound okay? I would imagine if it didn't, somebody would say something. I don't know how many people are watching us.
We got like 25 watching. Nobody had anything negative to say about the sound. I know it sounded good to me here.
Okay, good. Then that's good. Then we know at least from a test perspective, it works, right?
Yep, for sure.
And then again, you can always just save this. If I just hit save and I hit proceed, it will save all of this routing here. So the next time I open up this song, all this stuff will already be preloaded, and everything will be here. And there's no, you need to write it all down. Where did you patch it? All that stuff. It's all captured. The only thing you'd have to do is you'd have to still take pictures of the hardware to make sure the settings are the same, right? But aside from that, you don't need to worry about patch points. It's all taken care of.
Yeah.
It's all taken care of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's killer. I love the thing.
I think it's absolutely, I mean, like, I don't know if you're ready to say the word game changer, but I am. This is definitely a game changer for the studio. It completely changes the way you interact with the hardware itself. You know what I mean? It revolutionizes the workflow. It changes the way you interact with the hardware, and it gives you a lot more creative options to what you're doing. I mean, it just makes it makes trying things that you would not normally try a much easier proposition, so you can get more creative with things this way too.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's so fast to switch between the pieces. It allows you to not, it just removes one of the friction points, really. And so it definitely makes things more creative, more interesting. It's faster. It's seamless. It seems stable so far in the time that I've had it. I haven't had anything crash on it once. it just works. You know, it just simply works.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the key, is that it just takes away one, you know, friction point and one thing that slows you down, which is patching stuff. But again, like I said, to me, the actual patching is great, but the auditioning side by side of the gear is what really makes this thing killer. You couldn't do that before. Couldn't do that before.
Yep.
Just couldn't do it. Hold on. Let's get back here.
You gotta get the CL1B and the Bluey off of the snare.
I don't have the CL1B on the snare, but I have the Bluey, so we got to get that off.
Yeah. You gotta get the Bluey off the snare, but yeah.
Let me move my comments over here. Let me take the blue stripe off of this. So I'm just going to option click. Oh, what'd I do there?
You're okay.
Did I lose you? I just got to move my windows around here. There we go. Okay. CL1B and Bluey. Okay, hold on. Let me get everything on.
Find a vocal.
Okay. So vocal's going to be, pardon me, and the vocal is on channel 25. And this is these, again, there's no treatment, there's no tuning, there's no nothing. Not that James needs a lot of tuning, but no. I haven't even gone over his vocal with a fine tooth comb yet. So keep that in mind. Here's his vocal. Let me
check your loop.
Let's check the loop.
Wow, he stacked a lot of tracks up on this one, didn't he?
Yeah, that's pretty standard for him. Yeah. He likes recording lots of stuff and gives me lots of options, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So we got that. We got that. Solo him up for a second. Oh.
We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie.
Well, all right then. Okay, what do you want to hear first? Let's play. Okay, let's put a little, well, you know what? We can use hardware. I don't think there's anything on. We'll do a little bit of a low cut filter here just to get rid of some of that rumble. Okay. Aside from that, and we'll toss a tiny bit of the console reverb on it just so he's not so unbelievably bone dry.
I don't want to say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my car.
Okay, we'll give him a little bit of reverb. Okay, so let's start with a Bluey. That's channel 25, so that would be path 25. So we'll go down to the blue stripe. Alrighty, we'll toss that right here. Let's see how it sounds, just like that. Now we'll have to reset it, but let's see.
We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
Okay, there we go. So we're running about 7-8 dB of compression in that ballpark. A little bit of a medium fast attack, fast release, 4:1 ratio. Here is with it, and then we'll take it away.
We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
Okay, so there you go. So it's a little bit brighter, a little bit tighter. Let me just hit that a little bit one more time. I just want to make sure we level match that thing here, just to make sure we level match it a bit, because I have a feeling we didn't. Want to make sure it's level matched.
We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card. We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
Okay, that's that one. And then he wanted what? The CL1?
CL1B.
That's the warm audio, right? So that's going to be up here somewhere.
Sir.
Where are you, Mr. CL1B? Here we are, warm CL1B. Okay, so let's we'll stick this here and we'll bypass this one first. I have no idea what this is going to sound like, so let me go set it up.
We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card. We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card. We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card. We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
It's about the same.
Never ever say
it's about the same amount of compression. So here's with the CL1B.
It's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
Okay, now we'll see if the level match between the two units. We'll see here. I don't know. We'll check it out.
We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card. We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
There you go, they're close. So the 76A to me is a little bit more toppy, a little bit more crunchy. The warm is a little bit warmer. At least it seems like it is to me in the room here. Was that good for who asked for that? Whoever asked for that?
That was Anders Myrene.
Anders, was that good? Or do you want to hear something else? They sound completely different.
They are definitely different. The warm audio.
Way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
Yeah, the warm audio has a lot of weight to it, and the 1176 adds a lot of air to it.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's just a little different. And there's about, I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, I could dial it in so it's exact amount of compression, but it's really about, again, it's the meter's just the guide. It's really, what do you hear, you know? I could probably set it a little bit closer, but it's pretty close, to be honest.
Dave, James D. Cooler entered the chat.
Oh, hey, James D. Cooler, we're messing with your vocals. He loves that.
Because there's nothing an artist likes more than hearing their vocals soloed up on a live stream.
Yeah, but everyone understands it's not a mixed track. But we did things with drums and stuff like that. So James will have to go back and watch the replay. So yeah, but we could try to just make sure the compression amount is the same, but it's pretty close.
Say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my card.
It's about 7 dB of compression.
Yeah.
7 dB, right? So the warm is more warm. To me, it's a little more weighty. The 76 is a little bit brighter and a little bit crunchier.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, so if you have a vocal you need to do a specific thing to, that's a really good way to find it, you know.
So we'll leave the warm because we were using the 76 before on the snare, weren't we?
On the snare. Yeah, we were using it on the snare.
The 76A.
Yep.
So we could solo that up here for a second.
Say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my car. We never ever say it's a dumb way to get her. Never gonna have a problem, that was a lie. I don't wanna say, but your heart's like the weather. You have a pretty smile when you ask for my car.
Okay, so just listen to the snare drum. In the mix, you can hear as soon as you take away the 76, that the brightness of that snare and the crack, it kind of goes away. Listen to just the snare.
I need some clothes, a better car, and you know, a diamond star, the biggest house in Beverly Hills, and you love me if you never let the people feel. Hey, sweet baby, I don't need you. You better find another ATM. Life is more, don't spend my money. I'm not the one who's gotta pay. I'm not to pay your rent.
James Z. Cooler, everybody. Go to the description box of this video and go click on his stuff and go watch all his social media. That's ATM. Thanks, James, for letting us use this track as always. So yeah, so you can even hear it in the track when you take away the 76A, how the snare, you lose some of the brightness when we when we combine that with the SSL compressor and the CAPI EQ, which is really cool. What else is anybody?
That's actually a really good snare sound, you know?
I think so. I mean, it's not bad for just whipping it up, put it in there, right? And if you want to you solo it up and you take out these 3 pieces of gear.
It's too much. You blow my brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Stop whispering in my ear. But I love the way you pray when you're down on your knees.
Right, so there's our drum bus, the API and the dione. Really cool, right?
Really cool.
Really cool. Anybody else in the chat want another demonstration while we're here? This is your time to ask. See, so it's that quick, man. This is what I freaking love about the thing. It's just quick. Makes it really simple. And you don't have to, you don't have to go, what am I going to look over at the rack and try to figure out what I want to pick, like a plugin, right? You can just say, you know what, let me try that, dial it in. Ah, that sounds okay. Let me try something else. Oh, I like that better. Let's move on. It's that fast. And that's what makes it great. You never get out of that creative flow because you gotta think and look and patch and this and that. So I think it's pretty obvious, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious.
For sure.
Cool, right?
Yep. That thing is just such a game changer.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And the only thing that holds you back is the amount of IO.
Yeah.
Like we ran out of 2 channels. We don't have the master bus in the flock because we needed 8 channels of audio. We only have 6 available. We used them all. Now you could daisy chain more units together. I mean, that's possible. If you got a massive studio, you can do that if you wanted to. And you had the budget and you had the budget to do so. Because then you can experiment on your master bus. You can flop things in and out and all that stuff. We don't have that set up right now. But you're only limited to the IO, man. That's it. That's it. It's a brilliant system. James says he's so close to buying one, but you need more than 32 IO. So the bigger one is so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you want, well, you could get two 32s is cheaper than getting a 96 or 192, right? You could get, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know it is. I'm almost sure it is because you could get two 32s and have 64 IO if you don't need to go more than that. And that's cheaper than going with the big boy, which is 96. And the only reason why, and here's the other thing, just for people to keep in mind, most of you will know this, but in case you don't, the only reason why we need 96 is because I'm running a console. If I was working all in the box and just working with the hardware, I wouldn't need a unit that big.
Mm-hmm.
It's only because I wanted to have 48 IO on the console available at all times. That's now, and here's the other thing too. You say, well, do you really need that? Do you put hardware in every single channel? No, never. So you could say, okay, well, I don't really need to have all 48 channels available on every mix at all times. If I only wanted to have 16 channels or 24 channels, you can have a smaller unit, right? But then you wouldn't be able to, you know what I mean? You could do that and say, okay, well, I'm only going to set my app up. I'm not going to set up a grid for all 48 channels. I'm only going to put them on the tracks that I need for that particular mix. You could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can scale down the system a little bit if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try the big unit because nobody really on YouTube shows the big unit with a console. That was the whole thing. We wanted to try to patch the whole console in. And it just makes it a little bit more flexible. But yeah, there's an expense to it. That's the problem.
Yeah. But I always, for your situation, I always equate this with the room correction thing. You know, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
it's a big investment to make, but the impact it has on your ability to work in there, your workflow and everything else is worth the money in the long run. You know, I mean, it's worth the investment just for the impact it has.
Yeah, and because I remember, yeah, you're right. I said the same thing about the Trinoff when I first bought that. I was skeptical. I mean, if you guys watched the videos, you saw it all. And I was like, man, at that time, I think it was about $6,000. I'm like, $6,000 room correction.
Yeah.
And as soon as we turned it on, I went, here's my credit card. There was no, you know, and that even has a larger impact than the flock does, to be totally honest, because it changes the way you hear things in the room to make sure you're hearing accurately, where the flock doesn't really change the way you hear things. I mean, it does in that you can audition the gear and stuff, but you know what I mean? It's two different things. But I see what you're saying. You're right. It's another one of those kind of workflow things where you just said, like, it has a huge impact. Aside from the Trinoff, it's probably the next piece in line that had the most impact on the total process and workflow, for sure. Much more so than any single piece of gear. You know what I mean?